In this video, I'm going to show you the exact prompts that we're using to structure businesses properly and get access to business capital. Now, you can use these whether you're using Claude or ChatGPT, but for today's example, I'm going to be diving into Claude so you can see how it looks like in real time. All right, so starting off with the first genius prompt is this is going to find every red flag before a bank does. This is crucial because the last thing that I want to do as a business owner is walk into a bank or a financial institution that I think I'm going to be getting capital from that I can grow and scale with to then find out that I'm denied because there were some things that came up on the file that I otherwise would have and could have found out earlier using this prompt. Now, quick disclaimer, it is the following. Even though these are the prompts that we're using right now in real time for our businesses and to help our clients get structured properly and get access to business capital, there are some things that you're going to want to feed your AI depending on what you're using so that you can get a more specific answer because you don't want something generic. And so again, depending on how comfortable you feel doing this, I'll give you more so what you're going to need to use. So copy of your LLC or of your corporation. If you have business bank account statements, you may want to upload that. Obviously, you can blur out personal information if you wanted to on there. If you don't feel comfortable, that's totally fine. So you can upload that. Copy of your business credit reports, copy of your personal credit reports as well, because this is going to pull from the data based on where you currently bank at and then what your current situation looks like. The reason this is going to work so well, again, is because it's going to put your business essentially under a microscopic lens, and then it's going to help course correct any issues that would impede you from getting access to business capital at scale. And so for this example, I am using the example of that my business is information technology, which is, you see this name up here is Irv Infotech LLC. I put on here for this example that we've been in business now for about 2 years. And so this is the output from the prompt that we got just off of that one line. And so it immediately was able to identify that the business address that we have on file is not congruent for the line of work that I do. I've talked a lot about on this channel on business addresses and why you want to have the right business address in place, how this can make or break the capital that you get, and then also the type of partnerships you can also get access to. And so a big red flag for this is that it actually pulled a virtual office address that isn't congruent and isn't aligned with this type of business that I am currently setting up. Good to know, because this allows me to swap out that address and make the proper changes. Next up was the NEICS code mismatch. So it was able to essentially categorize and see I have different NEICS codes placed within different banks or within different business credit reports. Also important, because if one bank or one business credit bureau has me listed as an information technology business, and then another bank or business credit bureau has me listed like I do drywalls or construction, that isn't congruent. And that alone, regardless if I have a 780 credit score, regardless if I have consistent cash flow coming in through my business, will get me denied for capital, or at least the capital that I otherwise could have gotten access to. Lastly, actually second to last, so we kind of hit on it already, was the Equifax and Experian business scores weren't generating. That would be something that I may want to take a look at. So if there's some trade lines that I've already been working on, and so if maybe I've already been getting access to some business credit lines or some business lines of credit, and they're not reporting on my business credit reports, I would want to contact those business credit bureaus and make sure that those credit lines are reported, because I want to get credit for it. No pun intended. I want to get credit for it because it's going to build up my financial scores, which again makes it easier for me to access capital. And then lastly, personal and business income is being commingled. This is why I mentioned, depending on how much data you want to feed it, because you will get a more specific answer, it is able to essentially itemize. These are the two accounts that we have. So we have personal accounts, we have business accounts, and it looks like there's actually some commingling happening, which you want to stay away from, especially if you get into a situation where you're trying to get access to business capital at scale, or if, God forbid, you get audited by the IRS. Guess what ends up happening? Yep. If they see that your business has been commingling funds, well, you end up getting essentially audited, and you may have to have like a whole tax issue. Not the purpose of this video, but this lets you see, oh, I need to start separating my business bank accounts from my personal accounts because it's actually making my business extremely vulnerable. Next prompt that we have is build a business profile that makes a bank say yes. And so this is the prompt that we want to plug in right here. It is act as a top 0.1% business banker and tell me the exact NEICS code, address requirements, and online presence that I need to look credible to a financial institution. Again, this is the second prompt, so you can just work this off of the first one that you have, especially if you've already plugged in your business information, like your business name, industry, location. This is going to work really well because this goes beyond just taking a look at your credit score. Most people think that a bank is just going to look at somebody's personal credit score. That's just a piece of the pie. That's like a third of the actual equation to get access to capital and be structured properly. They go beyond, they physically Google your address. So anytime that a client tells me, hey, like the business bankers, they sat there and they actually Googled my address. I was like, yeah, what do you think they were going to do? They're going to make sure that you're legit. They're going to verify your address, and then they're going to cross-reference to make sure that your information is congruent across the board. And so this is what it gave us. So I like to refer to this as the business identity builder. So this is essentially the prompt or the answer that is shot back to us. So the NAICS code, the primary usage would be 541512, which is computer systems and designed again for my urban infotech type of business. Yours is obviously going to be different for your business. If you do real estate, construction, if you do auto repair, body shops, the whole nine, you're going to get a different NEICS code, which is totally fine. That's what you want. You want it to be congruent and aligned. And then for the online presence, it actually kind of like scraped everything for me, which is really cool. And it said that active business website listing, so your EIN, address, and services, Google business profile verified to your commercial address. So it actually pulled up the LinkedIn company page. So if you already have like an online presence with IG, Facebook, TikTok, it pulled all that. If you have a YouTube channel, it pulls all that. These three eliminate the most common credibility red flag that lenders typically check. And by the way, when I say lenders, financial institutions, you can also, if you do some type of like government contracting or some type of contracting work, they're also taking a look at this data. This goes beyond just me getting access to capital lines. This also goes into me being able to pick up more profitable deals. And then the third and final prompt that we have is your 90-day funding roadmap. So remember what we mentioned earlier, where if I've already plugged in the credit reports that I have and it already has essentially a feel for the type of products that I've already gotten access to, whether it's business bank accounts, personal accounts, or even on from my personal credit reports, it pulls the credit statements that I have just from the credit cards. And so this prompt right here tells me, because the way that I instructed it was based on it acting as a 0.1% business banker, build me a 90-day step-by-step plan. That's a roadmap that's going to help me essentially lock in anywhere between $50,000 to $250,000 for my business. Now, obviously, if you're a smaller business, you may not need that much. If you're a bigger business, then you can start inching and working your way up, which we do with a lot of our clients here. By the way, if you need help with any of this, setting up a system inside of your business that allows you to get structured properly and more importantly, get access to capital at scale so that you don't have to rely on things like personal credit cards, cash reserves, or slow client payouts, book a call. That link is down below inside of our description. But anyways, I digress. So once we plug that in, this is what it is going to give me. It's going to give me a 90-day roadmap. And so based on yours is probably going to look different, but based on my business and where it's currently sitting at and the structure of the information that it gave me, day 1 to 30 is to fix the foundation. So we already kind of like talked about that earlier, but I'm going to want to make sure that the NEICS code that I use and that I establish is congruent across the board. So I want my business licenses to have this. I want any financial institution that I'm partnering with to have this. I want, if my state requires me to notify them what type of industry I'm involved in, I also want my state to know what that NEICS code is, which is my industry classification. Day 31 to 60, that's where I'm building my business banking partnerships. And so if I already have a partnership with a bigger bank, so a tier A bank, maybe a regional bank, I may want to take a look at 2 more banks. This is known as kind of like diversifying your business funding portfolio. So this way you're not overly reliant on one bank who decides to only approve you for, let's say, 70,000. And then another bank decides to approve you for 100,000. Now you're sitting at about $170,000 worth of business capital versus maybe just being stuck with one bank or one financial institution in one area. And then day 61 to day 90 would be applying strategically. So once my business has been properly formulated and structured based on this game plan right here, once I've properly seasoned my accounts with those banking partnerships, so that could be opening up a personal account, that could be opening up a business checking account, depositing $10,000, $15,000 in there periodically. So having weekly and biweekly deposits because I've connected it with my merchant account. Again, I'm talking about the bank now. I would then go back in day 61 to day 90, and then I would apply strategically. So for me and my business, if it's 2 years old at this point, I could be looking at a blend of some 0% business credit line products, but then I also want to scale into some business lines of credit because this allows me to tap into products that I can essentially pull from for things like payroll, down payments, if I need it for some type of equipment financing, I can also use that as well based off of this game plan. Now, again, this is just one simple liner. And so your business could look completely different. The timelines could look completely different. You could condense this if you wanted to and put it on a 60-day cadence. You could do it on a 75-day cadence. You could do it on a 6-month cadence, especially if you're looking for bigger projects, because you're going to want to give yourself more runway to get properly structured so that it can sustain the capital that you're going to be getting access to. By the way, if you enjoy this video, I made a separate video that breaks down the exact Claude prompts that we're using that's allowing us to build the right business structures and the right business plans that helps you get access to capital at scale and land better partnerships. If you want to see that video, you can check that out right here.